Hello and welcome to Maths with Jacob. This lesson will focus on dividing simple fractions worksheets. So this video has a few slides and we have some worksheets to give us practice in dividing simple fractions. This follows on from the lesson we presented on this topic. If you need a refresher course on how to do these, at the end of this video there is a link that's in the last slide of the video, and if you press on the link, just click the link and it'll take you to the lesson which will explain very clearly how to do each of these sums. Very quickly, if we remember, if we saw the last lesson, when we have two fractions like this, there are some basic rules to follow. All you do, you copy this fraction, just leave it the same. You change this division sign to a multiplication sign. Okay, so the 2 over 3 stays the same. Just leave that there. When this becomes a multiplication sign, this fraction here, you turn it upside down. So you just make it 8 over 7. And they are basically the rules that we follow. So you just follow now the normal rules for multiplication of fractions that we had in a number of videos back. So that's basically all we do for each of these. Over here, now you might say, oh, we have a whole number here, but that's quite easy to deal with because the 2, you just write the 2 as 2 over 1. So when you change the division to a multiplication sign, you make that 1 over 2, because when you turn the 2 over 1 upside down, it becomes 1 over 2. Let's have a look at the next slide. Now here we have 3 fractions. Now what you do, just copy those 2 down. All this is explained in that lesson if you want to click on the link at the end of the video, but all you do is copy those 2 down. When you get to this sign, change it to multiplication and make that 4 over 3. And there you are. You'll have 3 fractions and they'll be all multiplication signs. Multiply the numerators together. Multiply the denominators together. Now if the fraction can be simplified, you simplify it. If the answer turns out to be an improper fraction, change it to a mixed fraction. Now down here, all we do, just write that as 3 over 1, because that makes it look like a fraction. Now this doesn't have to be inverted because the sign before the 3 is a multiplication sign. So when you're rewriting this, you make that 3 over 1, that becomes a multiplication sign, and that becomes 3 over 2. When you're rewriting this one, just make that 4 over 1. That becomes a multiplication sign, and that becomes 5 over 1. And finally, this becomes, it stays as a 2, because there's a multiplication sign in front of it, so that doesn't change. That changes to a multiplication sign, and that becomes 5 over 3. So this video has introduced us to a few slides where we've presented some worksheets, and it gives us practice in dividing fractions. And you can also have a mixture of multiplication and division. But where the division occurs, we still follow the rules of changing that to a multiplication and turning that upside down. And finally, don't forget, when you get to the next slide, you can click on the link which takes you to the lesson on this topic if you need a refresher course. Good luck with it all.